You focused a lot on relationships. That seems to be one of the strands of your career. Why?
I mean, it's everything about our existence. It's like it's the only thing that I think makes us feel at all significant, in the universe, is our relationships with other people.
Well, romantic relationships specifically.
Okay, fair. Yeah. Well, romantic relationships.
But you're right. No, how we relate to each other, absolutely. That's why we're here.
Have you seen the photos from the new telescope, the James Webb telescope?
A few of them, yeah. I mean, they're mind blowing.
They're mind blowing, but it also, you look at those photos, you're just like, we are ants. Like, we're not even ants. Like, that's we're like molecules, and nothing matters, and everything's insignificant. But relationships make life feel significant.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of romantic relationships, I think I think this is true for people beyond just, South Asian people, but like particularly with South Asian people, so much of our, for better or for worse, like our lives and our sense of self-worth and, our connection to our families and our community is defined through marriage, and the choices we make around marriage. So it just felt like fertile ground, for me to explore where we are as a culture, how we've evolved, how we've not evolved, the sort of inner conflict that people have, because so much of that gets played out, in romantic relationships, particularly in our community, because it's not just, to quote Seema Auntie, it's not just about two individuals. It's about so much more, in our culture. It's about families. It's about community. It's about identity, and all of that. So it's a lens to unpack a lot of other stuff.
Absolutely. So when you say Seema, you mean Seema Taparia.
Yes.
Seema from Mumbai.
Seema from Mumbai, yeah.
She is the main, I guess probably main character in many ways of Indian matchmaking.
Yes, indeed.
And also introduced to the world by you in A Suitable Girl.
Yes.
Which is your documentary from 2017?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you meet her? And I guess my question is how much of what we see of Seema Auntie is Seema Auntie? Is that caricatured? Is that what she's like? What is she like?
So I met her because she was my matchmaker back in the day. So I met her as a client, and immediately when I met her, I was like, "This lady is not going to find me a husband." It was different times, and it was also that was as much sort of where I was in life, than any reflection on her abilities. But I was like, she is a star. Like I just felt that immediately when I met her.
Right.
Because what you see on Indian matchmaking is 125%. Seema Taparia.
Okay, so it's she, but dialed up a little bit.
Not even dialed up, actually.
Oh, well, then it's just 100%.
It's 100%.
Okay.
Like it's 100. Yeah, I mean,
I thought you meant like it's her.
I was
plus,
being
on
emphatic.
steroids.
No.
Okay.
It's 100%. Yeah, we're getting into the math here.
Yeah, of course.
But no, that's exactly what she's like, and I think that's one thing that's really remarkable about her, and I really appreciate about her is that she's always been that person, and she is. In spite of all the success of the show and everything, she's still that person. So she's just one of those people who's just like lives life like a little more heightened than the rest of us.
Yeah.
And, is like unbelievably charismatic and occasionally a little cringy and, very like smart, just larger than life person.
Do you find that so this is the thing with the show, right? I mean, she represents the traditional take, a lot of the advice that she gives to particularly women, because with respect to the, to the trans community and the, it's mostly focused on cisgendered heterosexual relationships.
Yeah.
Now, with respect to the gender spectrum, just with women, she does tend to give a lot more kind of advice or direction or I feel criticism to women than she does to men, which is more traditionally representative of India. Are things in India still done like this through matchmakers or arranged? Like, do you know what the pie chart is or what is it, cities or?
It's, you can't make any blanket statement about India, and I think that's like one lesson that I hope people take away from the show. You can't, like everything you say about India, the opposite is also true. So you definitely have communities and places where there's like, things are a lot more traditional. You have, places and communities and families where it's totally the opposite and it's even more progressive than maybe, we would find here in America or in other Western countries. And sometimes those things exist in the same family as in my family. I have like an end of my family that's very traditional, like Rajasthani, and then there's my dad who like gave up engineering, after getting a PhD and became a filmmaker. And my mom, has a master's degree and was the breadwinner for our family. And like,
that's very different.
Very different, so you can't really make blanket statements.
Well, I don't know if that's true though, because I think there's still a majority, right? So if we're looking at like, because obviously with respect to Muslim communities and Christian communities, and if we're looking at the Hindus in India, I'd still say probably 70 to 80% of them believe a lot of the traditional stuff. That is like the culture. Whether every single person in that culture subscribes to it, there's still like this veil or this like blanket that hangs over us, that everything that Seema Auntie is saying, we're all either going like this or we're going like this, but it does resonate.
It does resonate, yeah. I mean, and that's why I think like for all of the critique of the show, and a lot of it I think is, like great and very valid and important to understand like the full context. But the one thing that nobody has ever said to me is that it doesn't feel authentic.
Well, that's exactly right. I think you're totally right about that.